Did somebody call for $5,000 silver? Is that absurd? We're going to dig into the data supported by this author's thesis and see why he says the real value right now of silver should be $5,000. And that sounds good on a day like today. We'd just like not to have a day where silver goes down by 50 cents per ounce. But it's all paper oriented. What does that mean? We're going to tackle that when we dig into this author's data, but there's so much more going on. People are talking about the big major markets. We've got big moves happening. Weird things are going on. Thank you for that super chat, Cowboy Elvis. Thank you, my friend. So we're going to cover that as well. We've got political upheaval here in the United States. What does that mean? What does that tell us that could happen for the silver price and gold price? Let me move the microphone a little closer so we feel like we're all a little closer together, because all 200 of us already, what is going on? We are a growing legion of basement dwellers. Put on your basement dweller hat because we got a lot more to talk about. 5% bond yields. What does that mean? And it's just absurd when we talk about what that could mean for the precious metals prices, but in general as well. I've got some scary information on that. And our old friend, Janet Yellen, opened her mouth yesterday. I have a quote, actually 2 quotes from Janet Yellen, our Treasury Secretary, that are very positive long-term for the silver and gold price. And we can only talk long-term because short-term, the last week has been just absolutely brutal for investors in the precious metals. The mining stocks have taken a hit as well. My heart goes out to you. Trust me, you aren't alone. And some of you I know, I get a lot of flack from some people in the community, and not bad flack, but people saying, don't get upset when the price goes down because that means that you can buy more. And I completely understand people that have that mentality. Actually, that's probably a healthy mentality. Unfortunately for me, I'm at a place where I've kind of bought all that I need. I do still buy more silver. I just bought some from Pimbex a couple days ago, but I've made the lion's share of my purchases over the decades. So, me personally, I'm ready for the price to go up, okay? But when it goes down, and that means you, if you're an active buyer, can buy more, that's great as well. I think that's a healthy way to look at things. But the stocks have just been decimated. And I bought a couple new silver mining stocks. I'm going to tell you about those later in the show. But if you are one of those people who is actively buying right now as the price of silver and gold and platinum get pummeled, please check out our gracious sponsor, Pimbex. P-I-M-B-E-X, Pimbex. I love to spell it. I love to say it. But what I love even more is that I can trust them. Their prices are the best. They always have a good amount of inventory in stock. And I can feel comfortable when I go to Pimbex that I'm getting a good value. And value is always important to me. I want to get as many ounces as I can when I buy silver. I'm usually buying bars at this point, but everybody's different. They have silver bars, they have gold bars, they have silver coins, sovereign coins, rounds, any of that stuff. Check them out. Throw them in the mix when you're looking for precious metals. We got more to talk about. Yes, we are going to talk about the D word, depression. And not our mental state of mind. I already know I'm depressed, but the economy, is that depressed as well? We'll tackle that one. I'm going to talk about some weirdness. I'm just overwhelmed by these stocks, the mining stocks, both the gold and the silver mining stocks, the value proposition that they represent right now. So we're going to talk about that. It's all going to be fun. And I have Susie. I don't think she's on the live stream. She gave me this list of other words I can say. Enthralling. You are going to be enthralled. Prepare to be enthralled. Okay? Oh, and my mama, she's my mom, and I'm 53, so you can imagine she's older than me. She said something to me yesterday, and it has directly to do with the gold and silver market, and she is not a stacker, okay? But she said something to me that just blew me away. And it, to me, is a big major indicator about where we're headed in this country when it comes to silver and gold. What do you say we dig right in and talk about $5,000 gold? I know. I bet that thumbnail that I put on this video aroused a lot of curiosity. Oh, Ron's doing clickbait. Ron's talking crazy silver numbers. It's not me. It's an author, and I want to read this to you. Let's dig into what he's saying about silver. And it has to do with the COMEX. It has to do with the silver market. It has to do, what do you think? Like, with all this major geopolitical turmoil that we're going through right now in the world, and it clearly does spell out how we could certainly see a number for silver. Oh, Lord. Hold on. There, okay, here we go. Here we go. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. Don't leave me or I'll start singing. Okay, $5,000 silver. This author, his name, Lorimore. You ever heard of that name? Lorimore? People, everybody's welcome in Ron's basement, including you. Hey, before I dig into this, let's get to 100 thumbs up. It's easy. If you press that button, that gives me a little bit of a boost, and I want to keep going, right? And it helps you get the word out to more people. We got 100 thumbs up. All right, awesome. So what's the idea behind this 500? Hold on here. I want to get the microphone. $5,000 silver. It says the case for $5,000 silver. Yes, $5,000 silver. I know, like I said before, we'd be happy just with a day where silver doesn't go down 50 cents over the last week. But let's look at the big picture. Let's look at $5,000 silver. It says if the price of silver were based directly on the real physical silver market, silver's price, should be at $5,000 per ounce. He says, I'm not saying that the price of silver will reach $5,000 an ounce. I'm just saying that the actual physical silver spot price is not only extremely undervalued, but that it is an illusion compared to the real value of an ounce of physical silver, since it is totally disconnected from reality. And we know that, right? We know the COMEX were basically in the LBMA in London, England, where the price of silver is set, that they're corrupt, they're over-leveraged. For each 1 ounce they have in their vaults to back up all the silver they trade, there's usually hundreds upon hundreds, and this author gets into that and explains why it's not so crazy. It says the physical versus paper market difference. And let's just think about that, right? At the end of the day, when the hens come home to roost, when you're cleaning out the horse stables, however you want to say it, right? At the end of the day, the silver market is a physical market. Silver is a physical item, right? You own some physical silver. I'm sure gold as well. Platinum, maybe. I own some physical. It is a physical market, no matter how you want to slice it or dice it. At the end of the day, it is, okay? So here he says, the actual spot price for silver has no real value and is not legitimate when we seriously compare the real physical silver market to the paper market and its myriad of financial derivatives. It says, according to an article by Bloomberg, which has always been reliable as a source of information, the size of the global annual silver market is equal to $5 trillion. That means when you add up all the actual physical silver and all the actual make-believe paper silver that up to now has been used to set the actual price on the COMEX, on the LBMA, that comes to $5 trillion. Write that down in your brain or on a piece of paper, whichever you prefer. $5 trillion. Okay? According to a recent interview with David Morgan, the annual physical silver production is 1 billion ounces. We know that. We basement dwellers talk about that all the time, right? Between what the mines produce and recycling, those are the only two sources of silver. There's about 1 billion ounces of silver produced per year. At $20 an ounce, which unfortunately we're approaching now, that makes the entire annual silver market worth $20 billion? Are you kidding me? Am I sleeping? Is this real? Guys, help me out here. The entire silver market, right, from a mining perspective, is actual physical perspective is $20 billion. That is a drop in the ocean. Okay, and you're going to understand this more in a little bit, okay? The difference between the 5 trillion and the 20 billion is huge. Bloomberg's 5 trillion number represents the entirety of the paper silver market, okay, all the financial derivatives, options, etc. Okay? Now, he says 250 to 1 leverage. 250. Okay, remember 5 trillion and remember 250 to 1 leverage. And if you want to know what leverage means, that means how many times you multiply something. Make believe, right? That means that well, let me read on and we'll talk about it more in a little bit, okay? The discrepancy between the 5 trillion and the 20 billion, the 5 trillion of make-believe unicorn fart dust silver that's traded every year, 5 trillion, and 20 billion represents a 250 to 1 ratio. Meaning that for every 1 ounce of physical silver, there are 250 ounces of paper silver, also known as electronic unicorn fart dust silver, all right, circulating in several financial products. In other words, only one contract or certificate issued out of every 250 could be convertible into real physical silver. That's the 250 to 1 leverage. That's how they keep the price smashed down. Like you have been feeling body blow, right? Right? Like we might as well be hitting ourselves over the last week in particular. If now, as the regulating agencies are claiming, the goal is to create a new fixing price, new price discovery for silver that would better reflect the physical market, parenthesis, notably from pressure coming from countries like China. Haven't we covered that? The Chinese are screaming about the lack of supply of silver and the unbelievable BS silver price. The Chinese, right, the second most powerful economy in the world, right? The Indians, what'd they do last year? Oh, they just acquired 330 million ounces, like 40% of the world's annual production, all right, to have their say. All right, so the countries like China are making noise and saying they want to have their say in the fixing of precious metals prices. We know the Shanghai Gold Exchange, the Shanghai Futures Exchange, they've been around for 20 years and they are growing and growing. I haven't heard recent data, but like last week, the difference in price between the Shanghai Futures Exchange and the Shanghai Gold Exchange and the COMEX, it was like 13% higher, all right? They're making noise. The leverage between paper silver, this is the good part, and physical silver is at risk of radically evolving. He says, let's hypothesize what silver price would be directly based on the physical silver market. Today, the actual size of the silver market is 5 trillion. 5 trillion divided by 20 billion, which is the size of the annual production of actual physical silver that's created, 1 billion ounces at $20 an ounce, You multiply the 250 leverage times the $20 spot price, and you come to 5,000 an ounce. Another way to do that math is to take the 5 trillion of all the paper and divide that by the $20 per ounce, or I'm sorry, by the $20 billion size of the market, of the real market. Divide the 5 trillion make-believe derivative value of silver on an annual basis, divide that by 20 billion, and I think you come to $5,000 an ounce. It's like all math. There's like 6 different ways to do it. So here's the conclusion. Every investor, could that be you? Is this talking directly? We're talking directly to you, basement dweller. Today in Ron's Basement, we have an important message to share with you. Okay? Every investor holding silver in the form of financial products without the possibility of verifying the physical existence of their investment should ask the question as to what will happen when more holders, other people who think they have that same silver, right, of that said product will ask for physical delivery. In reality, we already know what will happen because one of the world's largest banks from the Netherlands, ABN AMRO, already defaulted a little more than a year ago on its gold certificates, and they settled them in cash. So what this author is saying is, yeah, sure, there's 250 claims on every 1 ounce of silver. We've used this analogy before. Let's say we decide to go to McDonald's, and we put our order in on the McDonald's app for a hamburger, and we show up to pick it up, and they say, sorry, guys, we didn't think you were really going to get the hamburger. We sold that same hamburger to 250 other people. That's exactly what they're doing with silver right now. So you take that $5 trillion annual paper silver market. I hit my Weber seasonings there. I don't want to knock those over. And divide that by the 20 billion actual value of physical silver that's created every year. And you come to the price would have to be $5,000 to satisfy all of that demand. That is absolutely crazy. You know what? Well, since I knocked into the Weber seasonings, right, I like to refer to them as the gold standard of seasonings. I love seasonings. I will only talk about things that I love, and Susie can tell you I'm an expert seasoner. These are the best. I used the Kickin' Chicken last week on some chicken wings, cut them up, put some olive oil on them, put some of that seasoning, grilled them for about a half hour, and they were outstanding. Check out the Weber seasonings. You can get them at Sam's Club. I know you're like me, right? You want to get the best price when you buy silver and gold. You want to get the most bang for your buck when you buy food. Buy better quality food at a place like Sam's and get even better quality seasoning or a better quality experience by using these Weber seasonings. I mean, you know, and I know, right? You can save you can pay like 30 cents on the dollar cooking at home and having a better meal. So anyway, I love the Weber seasonings. I hope you check them out, and you do too. I get them at Sam's Club. I got to say thank you to Henny. Henny, thank you for that super chat. Guys, we got a lot more to talk about. More things to talk about. And I missed another super chat. Bear with me. It's important to me. Hey, Jake, when it's cowbell time, ring it hard. It's cowbell time, Jake. You got it, brother. I'm going to ring it super hard. Thank you for the super chat. When we get to 200 thumbs up, and you can keep giving thumbs up, okay, guys? We ring the 200 cowbell, which was delivered here. I hope that was hard enough for you, my friend Jake, by our fellow basement dweller, Joe F. All right, Joe F. All right, let's move on because the hits keep coming. I have a little drink of water. Thank you for being here. You want to learn some interesting things, some thought-provoking subjects that we have now to talk about. Let's just talk yesterday. The stock market did horrible. I think it was down like 2%, right? I mean, it was absolutely horrible. The 10-year bond got to 4.8% yesterday. Can you believe that? I mean, I'm telling you, if someone had told you 5 years ago, 3 years ago, that we would have a 4.8% rate on the 10-year bond, and we're going to talk a little more about that later because that is a tsunami heading at the U.S. economy, a big deal. Do you know what the VIX is? It's spelled V-I-X. Kind of reminds me when I spell Pimbex, but it's V-I-X, the VIX. It's a measure of volatility, of fear in the market. You can trade it. It's like it's an index and you can buy options on it. Anyway, the VIX is spiking back above 20. Okay, we have surging oil. What is that going to do? It's going to wreak havoc when it comes to inflation. If anything hits inflation in this country, increases inflation, it's oil. Oil is everything. Oil is the lifeblood of the economy. Oil's not just for your car. Everybody thinks gasoline or diesel or whatever. Oil is everything, guys. It's energy more than just gasoline for cars to get around. It is in everything. Wherever you are right now, look around. I guarantee you more than half of what you're looking at has some component of oil in it. Plastic obviously comes from oil, but all kinds of things come from oil. And so when the price of oil is going sky high, the price of everything around you will continue to go up as well. At least we don't eat oil. But think about this. The oil price does affect food because the farmers, they got to buy a lot of diesel fuel. The food has to be delivered to your grocery store, everything. So oil is a big, 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 big deal. And then we got this great news about job openings. Things are so great. I was talking to my buddy, Bobby Boo Boo Bear. Very smart young man. I don't know why I called him Bobby Boo Boo Bear, but anyway, very, very smart young man. And in his 30s, and he's a stacker, and I'm related to him. So, he's smart, right? Anyway, we were talking about the jobs data, and we get big jobs data this week, but how BS all this jobs data is, how everybody, we were just saying like, well, no wonder the unemployment's low. People are desperate, absolutely desperate to make a buck just to pay for their food, just to pay for their rent, just to pay for their gasoline, for their car. And a lot of these jobs that are so-called being created are those second and third jobs. Because remember, my blood's boiling. We don't want to see Ron pass out during a live stream, do we? No. So I need to take a deep breath. My blood is boiling. Think about America. It's Joe Biden's economic miracle. It's called Bidenomics. I happen to like to call it Bidenom-tricks. Like tricks are for kids, or tricky, or not real, or magic, right? Because is it really all that great out there? Think about this. Think about the fact that in America now, these jobs that are being created, a lot of these are second and third jobs. What kind of quality of life? Look, I'm a hard worker, right? I do this. You guys know, and I appreciate when you recognize how much work we put in to making Ron's Basement. And we do it because we love it. Susie loves it. I love it. CoinShop Chris loves it. All these moderators that are helping, and please say thank you to them. I think they love it as well. It's a big deal. But I also work another job at night. Right? I mean, what kind of a country do we live in where people have to work 2 jobs, or some people are working 3 jobs, right, just to make ends meet? That's Bidenomics. That's where all those new quote unquote jobs are coming from. A lot of these new jobs are people, we can count that because Joe Smith can't afford to pay his mortgage. So now he's got to deliver food for whatever it's called, Dine Dash or DoorDash or whatever the heck those things are called. I don't order. Look, I'm going to tell you something right now. Okay, we are value-oriented people on this channel. I have no well, okay, I respect whatever anybody does. That's great. And maybe some people have to do this. But when I go to McDonald's, okay, and I think you're this way too, I use the McDonald's app and I use a coupon and I get the most for my buck. When I go in there to pick it up, you know what I see? All these DoorDash drivers coming in and picking up bags. People are, and I asked the guys to do a lot of people get McDonald's delivered. He's like, oh yeah. I'm like, what does it cost? He's like, oh, by the time you pay for an overpriced quote unquote value meal and then delivery fee and tip, he's like, it's like $20 or $30 to get a meal. I'm like, that is ridiculous. I'm sorry I went down that path. I've been warned that I need to keep onto my train of thought. But I'm telling you, I love you, okay? But if you're spending $30 to get a Big Mac delivered to your house, I would much, much more recommend that you use that $30 to get yourself an ounce of silver. What are those people thinking? Imagine that, some dum-dum, right? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Some person getting a $30 Big Mac delivered to their house, and they could buy, now they could buy an ounce and a half of silver. What the heck? People don't, I think that way. Do you think that way? I think that way. A penny saved is a penny earned. A dime, a nickel is a dime with the taxes taken out of it. I am preachy today. Thank you. We almost got 500 people. What the heck? All right. Now, where was I? Oh, it's screwed up. Everything's coming to a head. It gets even worse. I don't know. What do you think it means when the Speaker of our House gets, I don't know, what do they call it? Demoted? McCarthy, right? Do we have political problems in this country? We got political problems between the Democrats and the Republicans, and this is not a political show. I'm not giving any commentary on my thoughts on that. I'm an independent, but we also have political turmoil within the Republican Party. I mean, it's crazy. And then we got Joe Biden, who's our president, telling us that it's working. I mean, come on, man. And we got a big election. Everything is screwy right now. And I'm laughing. Does it make you laugh? I heard one of the financial commentators talking about one of the reasons why the market was going down bigly. I want to say crash, but maybe going to crash, going down big. Said it's a flight to safety. People are going to get their 5% rate on their treasury bonds. And I'm thinking, I understand, right? I'm sure you've heard that, right? It's a flight to safety. Everybody wants to go to treasury bonds because it's a safe thing. And I'm thinking, if I bought a 10-year, I want you to think about this. If you had $100,000 and you could buy, what would that be? 5,000? Yeah, 5,000 ounces of silver. Or option number 2, you're going to loan that money to your U.S. government. $100,000, 5,000 ounces of silver, or give it to your government for a 10-year bond. I mean, think 10 years out. Now, you need to put on your future vision goggles, okay? Imagine me, because I get better looking with age, is what I'm told, so that's a happy thought. Certainly don't get smarter with age, but maybe better looking, I don't know. Anyway, 10 years from now, we don't even know, the way we're going in this country, nobody else talks about it, but you'll talk about it. I'll talk about it. The debt and deficit in this country. Think about that $100,000 right now. 5,000 ounces of silver or a 10-year bond. Tell me in the comments. I want to hear. What would you do? To me, it's a no-brainer. And that's a flight to safety? Oh, yeah. I love giving my hard-earned paper, fiat, unicorn, fart dust money back to my government so they can waste it some more. Does that make any sense? No, I think, me personally, I don't even have to put it in the comments because I can tell you, but I want to hear what you said. Me personally, my $100,000 is going to go into silver. You can make your own decision. Maybe you like to give it to the government so they can, wastefully spend it. Okay, I'm done on that one. Let's talk about Janet Yellen. Janet Yellen, did she say something that should make our ears perk up as silver and gold investors? I'm going to use my bedroom voice now because we're talking about our old friend Janet Yellen. Do you guys want me to get Janet out so you can say hi to her? Huh? All I need is for one person to type, "Hi, Tony," is to type Janet in the comments. And I do need more thumbs up because that helps me feel good. It helps you feel good too. It's nice to do something nice. Janet, Yellen, Janet. Did Janet say something that should make us happy and perky? Let's say hi to Janet. This is our Janet in the box. I think she's in there. I haven't opened her up for about 2 weeks. Oh, there she is. Hi, Janet. Okay, so we're going to talk in our Janet voice. And she said this. I have 2 quotes from Janet. Did she hint that we could see a drop in interest rates? It's like grandma's telling us, "Hey, everybody, don't worry. Everything's going to be okay because interest rates are going to drop soon." And you know what that means. That means everything's okay. We can print more money. Here's what Janet said. She said, quote, "People are trying to figure out exactly what's going on to keep inflation moving down." Well, really, Janet, thank you. She said that Tuesday at a moderated discussion at the Fortune magazine CEO Initiative Conference in Washington. But this is where it gets interesting. And economic resilience that they see maybe suggests that we're going to keep rates higher for longer. That's not good. That's what's been killing silver and gold. That's what's making the dollar. I won't even go down that path. The BS, strong dollar, right? Higher for longer rates. But then Janet said this. She said, "But don't worry, silver and gold investor and platinum investor, boys and girls, don't worry. Don't worry, because we'll have to see what happens." Then she said, "I think it's by no means a given." Okay? No means a given. If she's saying that, okay, because remember, they are very measured and calculated with their words. They don't just talk. They're manipulating you and me and the markets, and that's a known fact. If she's saying that, by no means that it's a given that rates are going to stay higher for longer, that could be a very, very good signal for things to come as we head into the coming months, quarters, and years together as basement dwellers here in Ron's basement. Okay, but she had more to say. She also said that it's critical to maintain a quote-unquote sustainable fiscal policy. Let's do a quick review for those of you who may have forgotten. What's the difference between fiscal policy and monetary policy? Monetary policy is what our friend Jerome Powell, also known as the Wizard of Oz, does from behind his curtain at the Federal Reserve. That's monetary policy. Fiscal policy is that astute, wise financial management fiscal policy that our elected politicians in Washington do. And it's okay that we rip on them because the founding fathers of this country are rolling over in their graves watching what they're doing. So, nonetheless, Janet says we need to maintain sustainable fiscal policy. She said that the current level of debt is manageable. Oh, really, Janet? That's interesting. As measured by how much the U.S. spends each year to finance the federal debt as a share of gross domestic product and adjusted for inflation. Well, see, she can like inflation when she can use it to somehow do magic math and say that we're on a sustainable path in this country. And thank you all 500 of you for being here. Stick with me, guys. I got big news about silver and gold stocks, okay? And a message from my mother specifically for you, gold and silver investors. So I want you to stick around. But she also indicated, this is Janet, that higher long-term rates would pose a threat. Interesting. She said earlier she didn't think that they would keep rates higher for longer. Possibly. We have to see what happens. And basically then at the end of that sentence, she said it's a threat to the fiscal Yeah, it's a threat, Janet. Janet, you don't even need a calculator for this, but maybe Janet needs to use a calculator. The government spends $1.4 trillion more each year, Janet. I keep forgetting. I think I'm interviewing Janet Yellen here in the basement. But I'm going to talk to Janet right now. Janet, you're spending 1.4 trillion more each year than you're bringing in, and you got this little problem lingering over there. That would be called the national debt, which has ballooned to $33 trillion, Janet. And on top of that, all that debt needs to be refinanced, 17 trillion of it, more than half in the next 2 years. Janet, and thank you, Susie, just screamed at me from downstairs. I have a walkie-talkie for you, Susie. Let me turn on the walkie-talkie. Well, sorry, guys. Oh. Roger Dodger, thank you. I was not done preaching to Janet. We need to refinance all that debt, Janet. And your interest expense is going to more than double. Yes, Janet, you're spending more than $1 trillion a year on just interest. Janet, that would be like me going upstairs and telling Susie, Susie, I forgot to tell you, we have a $200,000 balance on the credit card. All those nice things. I'm always getting flowers for Susie almost every day, but I had to always put it on the credit card. And now we have no more room left on the credit card, but we've got interest payment. I mean, anyway.
Not at all.
Did you say something?
That is so not true.
Oh, all right. I'm turning off the walkie-talkie. Yeah, I don't buy her flowers every day. I pick them out of the yard. So that's what Janet. Let's sum up. Let's wrap up on that because we got two more big subjects to talk about this morning. All right. Janet basically said that higher rates are not a given. And she said, if rates stay high, that's a real problem for the U.S. fiscal. Well, no joke, Janet. Thank you for informing us. But in the long run, guys, what that tells us is if they're saying that, even hinting at that, that's what they're talking about. We're in for some crazy big times, okay? Let's talk about, I had this written down. What do you think it means? What do you think it means that we went from crazy print fest with money, right? After the C-19 issue and all this money was created in all these years. Isn't it just a little weird that now everything's just been absolutely shut off? To me, it's weird. Maybe it has to do with what's going on in the world. Maybe we're nearing the end. Lynette Zhang and I talked about that, and I'm going to have Lynette back on, and I'm going to talk more about Lynette Zhang here in a few minutes. But she said, when you get toward the end, things start to feel crazy. Are you feeling crazy? Does it feel crazy out there to you right now? To me, it absolutely feels crazy. Let's touch on some stocks. I've been buying stocks, okay? I've always said I'd be completely transparent with you guys. I always list the stocks that I own. I do need to update that in the description of every video. I'm buying silver mining stocks, but they're more development stage stocks, meaning they aren't companies that are actually mining the silver right now, but they've got a ton of silver in the ground. And the reason I'm buying them is because they are valued as so cheap. It's unbelievable. I bought Silver Mountain. They have a big project in Bolivia. I bought Capitan Silver as well. And I'm looking at Silver Elephant, and I own Suma Silver. All these are small silver companies whose stocks have been decimated. Any of you who had bought them a year or two ago, I'm sorry, because I know a lot of them are trading at are down 70, 80, 60%, at minimum 60%. But here's why I like them, guys. They are valued so low that in some circumstances, you're getting silver in the ground for the equivalent price of 10, 15, 20, 30 cents per ounce. Do your own work. This is not a financial show, okay? But when I can buy silver in the ground, all right, for pennies on the dollar, literally, right? And I know, right? And the other thing is, right, this is Bolivia, this is Mexico. This is where's the other one? Peru, right? These are jurisdictions that have just been that's viewed as being a negative. But Bolivia is the sixth largest silver producer in the world. Peru, I know, is like probably in the top 3 or 4. Mexico is number 1. When I can buy that metal in the ground that cheap, okay, and can it go lower? Absolutely. Do I think it's going to go lower? I don't think it's going to go lower. Otherwise, I wouldn't be buying it. Could I be wrong? Absolutely, I could be wrong. Now, let's talk about gold in the ground. Right? And it's just as crazy with the gold development companies. These gold development companies have been decimated. The whole sector, the valuations are crazy. You can get gold in the ground that's been drilled. They've already drilled it. They've already discovered it. They drilled it. They put it all together. You can, a lot of times, like here, what with our sponsor, First Mining Gold, they've got massive projects in Canada that have gold in the ground that's already been discovered, already been drilled, had reports put together, these scientific reports that establish for them, just like their 2 biggest projects, have 5 million ounces each in Canada. One of them's in Quebec, which is like being recognized as being one of the best mining jurisdictions in the world. And this is gold that's being valued at like $7, $8, $9 per ounce. Yes, it's in the ground, right? But the only thing to me better than having it in my hands is owning it in the ground. That's just the way I look at it, especially at these incredibly low prices, because I think, whether we're talking about silver, you know the story on silver, right? Silver demand is projected to go crazy. What does that mean? I mean, they're talking about we could be out of silver by the year 2028. And there's no pipeline of new projects. And the same is true with the gold mining. The big gold mining companies, they haven't invested in their pipelines. They instead paid off debt. So in 2 or 3 years or a year or whenever things change, there could be a frenzy of companies just searching to buy up these smaller companies that have the pipeline, that have the metals available. I think First Mining Gold is one of those such companies. Not financial advice, just my opinion. I've owned that stock for years and years. I thought it was a great deal a year ago, 2 years ago. So I especially think, because that whole sector has had challenges. The value proposition now, to me, is almost unbelievable. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the silver and gold smaller development stage. Let me just throw this out there as well. And this is off the top of my head, so you can check me on this. But the company like First Mining Gold, their Duparquet project, that's one of their 5 million ounce projects. That one's in Quebec. The whole market cap of First Mining right now is under $100 million US. The previous companies that did all the drilling and exploration work on all those projects up at Duparquet easily spent more than that 100 million on that one project alone, right? And with First Mining, they've got another 5 million ounce project, Springpole in Ontario, and they've got 4 other projects that they either own outright or have a different level of ownership in. So anyway, just my 2 cents, and I wanted to share that with you. Let's talk about my mom. What did my mom say that shocked me, okay? I mean, I said plenty of things over the years that shocked her, no doubt about it. I'm sorry, Mom, I love you, but she said something yesterday that absolutely shocked me. So we had to take my dad to get cataract surgery. So anyway, I drove him there, and we were sitting in the waiting room, like cattle, all of us, and they got TV monitors now that tell you where you're. Anyway, we're talking, and she goes, "Oh, I watched that interview you did on your channel with that lady." I'm like, "What do you mean that lady?" And I'm thinking, "What are you talking?" And I'm like, I said, "Well, there's only one lady that I've interviewed." I said, "You mean Lynette Zhang?" She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "I really liked her. I really liked that interview, Lynette Zhang." I said, "Yeah." She said, "Do you think I should convert some of my money?" And she said, "Convert." I'm going to give her credit to silver and gold. And that's not what she said that was shocked me. And I said, "I don't know, Mom. I gave her the old, I don't have a crystal ball, and it's what I do." And I actually showed her the Pimbex website on my phone and showed her what a monster box was. And she was real interested. She goes, "Well, this is what shocked me. And I'm telling you guys, this is a big, 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 big. Did I miss 300 thumbs up? I did. Big. It's as big as getting 300 thumbs up. Thanks, man. We got 500 people on here and 300 thumbs up. I'm going to tell you the big deal after I ring the bell. Bell? Nose. That's only one of 5 goofy things I do on this show. Then she says to me, this is a big deal, so pay attention. She says, well, I heard they're selling gold at Costco. And I was like, what? I said, and that's my mom. And my mom is not into precious metals, and she's more of a CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Thank you, Ron McAdams, for that super chat, my friend. Man, you guys are generous with me. This Costco deal, I told you, my friend Mike, my friend Pete, and my mom are asking about Costco. This is my tinfoil hat. Excuse me, conspiracy theorists saying this, but I think that's why they smashed the price down. I do. I think that I'd possibly, right, that they realize, like, oh my God, everyday people are waking up. We got to do something about this. Possibly. Okay. I'm not saying, oh my Lord, another super chat, $10. Jake, man, thank you. Autumn Mitchell, you're very welcome, Autumn. I'm glad you're here. Wow. Is that, I don't know. Am I, and I'm not saying that I'm professing this to be the truth, but would it make sense that all of a sudden there's this catalyst, this groundswell? You know, those things kind of come out of nowhere. Like all of a sudden people are getting interested and every news channel's talking about it, that they say, man, we need to smash the metals now. We need to show Florence, who's at home ordering toilet paper and cat food and Lunchables for her kids' lunch, that she better not buy gold. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, my friend. Wow. Because that's a bad deal, right? Sorry, I was out mowing lawn before I did this, so I've got a little cough in my throat. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that's possible? Again, tinfoil hat, imagine me with a tinfoil hat on, but we know there has been concerted efforts in the past by the powers that be to manage and suppress the precious metals prices. So if suddenly there's this groundswell of interest and activity in the precious metals, wouldn't that be a great time for them to say, oh my God, it's getting out of control. It's time. We need to smash the price of silver and gold. They can't do it forever, right? 250 to 1 leverage on the silver price and the gold price. Are you kidding me? Right? They can't do it forever. Hey guys, thank you for being here. You're the best. I will be back tomorrow. Take it easy, and I'll see you soon.